Right, hello everybody and welcome to another elevator part video. Today we're taking a detailed look at the vintage and not so vintage C.J. Anderson button. Let's go ahead and get started. So why do I say vintage but not so vintage? These old C.J. Anderson fixtures have been made for a very long time and they are still made today. This button here on the left was originally found on eBay. Andrew and I picked up 2 of these panels on eBay, and here on the screen you can see the photo of this panel when we got it off eBay. We sent this to Tom from C.J. Anderson, who did an absolutely fantastic job restoring this panel. Now the little button down here on the side is the same type of button. However, this was manufactured in the last year, and Tom sent that button to me. So Tom, a huge thank you for the button and also for restoring this panel, because you did an amazing job. So anyway, today we're going to be taking a detailed look at both of these panels and see how these buttons work. So let's go ahead and start with the little baby one. So we can see here we got the button, it's just the button here, and it says call elevator. It's very, very well built. It's actually very heavy for such a small little button. But this is also C.J. Anderson stuff, so it's some good quality stuff. And you can see the mounting holes here, and this is where it would go out to the controller. But let's go ahead and open it up and take a look on the inside. So after removing these fairly large screws, the plate comes right off. And we can see how the plate looks, which has this kind of little indentation here. And we can see the bottom, and we can see how simple this is. I mean, there's not really a whole lot to it. You've got the button, one big copper piece, a board, and 2 smaller little connectors. And you press down and they complete the circuit. And as for hooking up the wires, you take the board off and connect them to the bottom. That's pretty much all there is for the little button. So next, let's take a look at the big button. So this is the one that Tom did an absolutely fantastic and beautiful job restoring. We can see here it's an old Speedl elevator from Reading, Pennsylvania. As for the buttons, you've got your up and your down, and then a stop button. Next up here we have the little safety switch. And when Tom renovated this panel, he put a new light switch in. And this was the switch that he put in there. And I appreciate him putting in a brand new switch, but this switch here was the original one. And I honestly think the little red down there and a vintage switch look a little bit nicer than a modern new switch, but that's just for personal preference. And then up here, the light switch, Tom also put a new light switch on, which the old light switch from this thing was pretty broken in a very nice box. But let's look at it from the inside. So once the 4 screws are removed, the plate can come off, and it looks just like the small button, the little indentations here. We can see how the logo is attached. We've got these little metal brackets kind of holding it down. And you can also see how the little labels are held down. There's very small screws, and if you look very closely, you can see how the screws are on there. So it's kind of interesting. The switch is just your standard switch. Nothing super exciting up here, but it looks pretty nice. So here you can see the old switch, which looks like that. And if we really wanted to add the other switch, we could theoretically stick it up here, but obviously we don't have the right opening on the panel for that. And then here we've got the 3 buttons, which have a very similar look to the little button. You can see it's the exact same button, except this one's on an angle, and these are nice and flat. And they work the exact same way. You push them down and they complete the circuit. However, the stop button is a little bit different. You notice this one's normally closed. So if you just barely press down on it, it breaks the circuit. So something kind of interesting, if the elevator is moving and you just barely tap it, that's just enough to break the circuit. But you can see when I push down, it fully breaks the circuit. So kind of a neat button, and it presses a whole lot differently than the up-down buttons do as well. So that's pretty much all there is to these old C.J. Anderson buttons. They're very well built, they're still made today, and they're just all out awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed this little video. Hope you enjoyed taking a closer look inside these old C.J. Anderson panels. They're actually pretty simple. There's not really a whole lot to them. And we'll see you guys in the next one.